What's up guys? Super excited to have you here for this video. We're gonna talk about how to purchase a property with hard money. So before we dive into that, let's look at all of the different types of funding, right? So you've got conventional funding, FHA funding, VA funding, cash funding, obviously just dollars, soft money, hard money, private money, and creative financing. So those are lots of different things. We'll break those down more in other videos. But for this video, I just want to focus on how to use hard money, right? As a very quick way to get you into a deal without, if you don't have any credit or you have limited funds to put towards the deal, hard money can get you right into purchasing. So let's run through some examples. So what is this magical stuff called hard money? Okay, well, in short, it is asset-based lending. Right? So if you get a conventional loan, that's going to be borrower-based lending. They're going to look at you and say, hey, hold on here. Is this person going to pay back this loan? Right? Whereas asset-based lending means they're going to look solely at the asset. So not you as the borrower, not your credit, not how much money you have, any of that fun stuff. They're going to look at the property that you're buying and say, hey, would I lend this much on this property? Right? If the property's worth 200 grand, would I lend 140, knowing that if Billy Joe defaults, right, and stops paying me, if I get the property at 140, I feel good about it, right? So that's asset-based lending. It's based entirely on the asset, right? With that, generally hard money is not amortized, meaning you're not paying principal each month. So you're paying what's called interest only, meaning every month you make a payment, your principal doesn't drop, and you make the same payment each month, right? So if you paid for 100 years because you had hard money for 100 years, you would always make the same payments, which is a great reason why we don't want to stay in hard money long term, right? We want to buy the property, flip it, and get out. But for that vehicle, it works great. So generally no appraisal, right? So whereas conventional lending, you're going to need an appraisal. With hard money, there's no appraisal required, right? But you might have something by like a drive-by inspection. So lots of hard money lenders are locally based, so not big, national conglomerates, things like that, but locally based, and they will actually go drive the property or have one of their drivers drive past the property. Occasionally, they want to do a walk through the property. Lots of lenders, especially locally based ones though, hard money lenders, will look at the comps of the property, look at the pictures you provided them, and then we'll drive the property. Now, also with hard money is you cannot occupy the property, right? So you can't live in it generally. The reason why that is besides other things, is the hard money lender sets up a fund, right, that people put money into. And when they put money into the fund, the hard money lender is going to promise them that, hey, I'm going to make sure that this only goes to investment properties. We're not going to be sponsoring people that live in the house, right? Because if the person's going to live in the house, then that evokes all types of fun Dodd-Frank rules and regulations that the hard money lender would have to follow, and they wouldn't be able to lend as quickly and at as high of an interest rate, right? Speaking of which, leads me right into another important point about hard money. So hard money is great because you can purchase quickly. Some hard money lenders will even lend up to 100% of your purchase price, meaning if the house is worth 200 grand, you're an investor and you're buying at 130, they will lend you all $130,000. Now, if you're in a competitive hard money market, they might even do that without charging you points, right? Points are 1% of whatever the loan amount is. Right? So if the loan amount is 100 grand, a point would be $1,000, and points are paid when you close on the property, right? When you close on the loan. So we want as investors, we want low points and of course as low of an interest rate as possible. Now in lots of states, hard money interest rates can be as high as 18 to 22%. That's a lot. That is a lot of interest, right? And so at the same time, if you're in a state like Arizona, there's plenty of lenders that are offering, hard money lenders that are offering 11.9% flat interest rate with no points and maybe a small doc fee. So now let's actually run some of the numbers on hard money so you can see exactly what it would look like, and you can start to run numbers on projects you might be interested in purchasing to know how much money you would need to put down and really what it would look like making those interest payments. Okay, so example number one. Let's say that you find a hard money lender and they're willing to give you these terms, right? So this is what they're gonna send you. LTV means loan to value. That's what percentage of your purchase price are they going to loan. Now this is a little tricky because you would think it's loan to value, like what the value of the house currently is, but that's generally not how a hard money lender is going to run it. They're gonna run it off of the purchase price, right? So if your house is worth $1 million and you're buying it for 150, they really don't care that it's worth $1 million. They're gonna look at the 150 according to this, right? So loan to value is 80%. So they're not gonna give us 100%, they're gonna give us 80%. We're gonna run our numbers, see if this is doable for us. The interest rate, right, is 12.9%. So not terrible, right? Not terrible, not fantastic, but it's made a little bit better by the fact they're charging 0 points. So there's no points up front. Now there is a $900 doc fee, right? And seeing a doc fee on hard money is pretty common, right? If it's 900 bucks, 500 bucks, I think the most I've seen is $1,000 for a doc fee, right? And most of the time you can say, hey, this is my first loan with you, let's cut this in half, or let's do something differently here, right? In order to get that doc fee down, right? Sometimes they'll cut that in half, different things along those lines. But let's take this, right, and say, okay, let's run at this and see what we come up with. So the value of the house is $230,000, right? Now, remember, we don't really care about that. We care about what we're buying it for. So the purchase price of the house is $180,000. So we've got a $50,000 arbitrage here, right? $50,000 of margin baked in when we buy this house. That's pretty cool. So from the $180,000, we know that they will lend 80%, right? So we can do $180,000 times 0.8, right? To get our 80% of the purchase price, and they will lend us $144,000, right? So not too crazy complicated. 80% times the purchase price gets us the loan amount. That's what they'll lend us. Sweet. So now what does that not cover, right? It doesn't cover the difference between $144,000 and $180,000, which means our down payment that we have to bring to the table is going to be $36,000. Now, in addition to that $36,000 as our down payment, we're going to pay this doc fee, right? Now we have 0 points, which is great, but we're also going to have to pay hazard insurance. Hazard insurance is a type of insurance that protects the lender, the hard money lender, in case the house burns down, right? Or a tornado runs it over, whatever. So basically that is depending on what area you're in and the purchase price of your house, could be anywhere from a couple $100 to $1,000 for hazard insurance. So you also want to factor in that, which is going to put us somewhere around $38,000 right before we consider closing costs. Now additional closing costs are going to be things like your escrow fee and your title fee, right, to get clear and insurable title. Now sometimes the seller is going to pay for the owner's policy, which is the title policy, so you don't have to worry about that. I think that's the standard in something like 36 states where they'll pay for it. But sometimes when you're negotiating to get the best deal, you'll offer to pay that as well. So I would probably round this up with closing costs, add another $2,000 on there and say we're going to be $40,000 all into the deal, right? That way we know for a fact our down payment's going to be $36,000, but we've got a little bit more wiggle room, right? So now let's pretend, like, okay, that's too high for us. We can't do that, right? That's not going to work. Well, we might be able to go out and find another hard money lender, right? That's willing to lend us, let's say they're willing to lend us 100% here. So instead of 80, they'll lend us 100%, which is pretty cool. And let's say maybe they're going to add in 1 point. So we'll drop in uno puntos. All right, so now if we run this exact same scenario, right? Instead of $144,000 being the loan amount, right, and the LTV being 80%, this is going to be 100%, right? So more or less times 1, right? Which means this is going to end up being $180,000. Cool. Awesome. So now we've got $180,000 that they're going to lend, which means our down payment amount is exactly $0, right? That's pretty sweet. That's not bad. So if we can find a 100% lender, right, then we can get in with a $0 down payment, right? Makes a lot of sense considering they're lending 100%. Now let's think about some of these additional fees, right? Additional fees is 1 point, and it's 1 point of the loan amount, right? In this case, the loan amount is $180,000. So we can add in here $1,800 as a 1% point we're gonna have to pay when we close on the property. Then we also wanna consider the doc fee, which is 900 bucks, right? And then probably hazard insurance, right? So if we say hazard insurance is $500, then that's gonna land us right around 3,200 bucks. So then to get into this property, we need $3,200, right? Using hard money, it's based on the asset entirely, not based on us. Not a bad deal and a great way to get yourself into a fix and flip property where you can make money without having a ton of credit, or any credit for that matter, and a lot of money. Okay, so we've bought the deal now, right? We're into it. We put the money down that we needed in order to get in. Now each month we're gonna have to make a payment to the lender, right? Okay, that's important. So let's figure out what that payment's going to be. So first you're gonna take the loan amount, right? So our loan amount here is $180,000, and then you're gonna times it by that interest rate. Now remember, it's flat interest rate, it's not amortized, so you can do this on a calculator on your phone. It's really pretty straightforward. At the same time, if it's complicated, feel free to drop a comment, ask questions, and we'll make sure we get them answered for you. So $180,000 times 12.9% interest, right? So either make sure you're converting that to interest or you're really typing into your calculator $180,000 times 0.129, right? A little tricky. From there, you're going to get what your annual interest amount is. So if you were to keep this property for a year, you would pay $23,220 in interest. And remember, that's not our goal as flippers because that doesn't go towards the principal. So we don't get that back, it's just gone, right? That's not super great. In order to figure out what we're gonna pay monthly, we're gonna divide this by 12, right? And so once we divide this by 12, we'll know what we're gonna pay each month, which is $1,935. A couple other quick things to note here. One, that's normally paid monthly. Some hard money lenders will defer that until you finish the flip. There are far and few in between, but if you can find them, that's awesome. The other thing to consider is a lot of hard money lenders will require that first month's payment paid when you close on the property, right? So instead of paying in arrears, you're gonna pay up front. And you're gonna advance them, more or less advance them a month's pay. So all important things to think about. One final little cherry on the top detail to note is hard money lender is abbreviated hard money lender, right? So HML. So if you see that, you know what they're talking about. They're talking about hard money lenders, so you feel extra smart. And then actually even one more final little tidbit is to make sure you're also considering other carrying costs when you're doing the flip, right? Such as property taxes, right? If you have any other additional insurances on the property, things like your water bill, your electricity, all that fun stuff, and HOA fees, you want to factor that into what you're going to be paying monthly as well. But with that, hopefully you can take this information, use it to your advantage as a real estate investor to purchase a flip, or even if you're wholesaling, working with the buyer, right? Understanding what numbers they're running on their end so that you can bring them a better deal that they're able to make more money on, fun stuff like that. That's it for this video, guys. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Any questions that you guys have, drop in the comments, and we will kick off next week's video with answers to those questions. Feel free to check out our website, astroflipping.com, and look forward to seeing you guys next week.